Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of It Takes a Simple Man to Lead Geniuses podcast, brought to you by the Oh Guys Productions, powered by RealNerdCorp.com, live on twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp. If you didn't already know, I'm your host for this evening. I'm just a big old dummy, but I'm the Crown Vic of podcasting. I'm sturdy, I'm reliable, sometimes. And my name is Alex Swisher. Joining me, as always, my trusty co-host, Peter Panic, a.k.a. Chad Porto.
I only panic over slightly slanted shelves.
They're not slanted. How many... Anyways, welcome to episode 2 of the It Takes a Simple Man to Lead Geniuses podcast. This one is titled, Just Remember, Serpentine.
Oh, Taggart, you follious fucker.
He's fantastic.
He's all the things.
He's great. So yes, if you don't know what this podcast is about, get with the fucking program. This is going to be about season 2 of the show Eureka. We're rejoining our cast, which we jumped into last week. You know, you have Jack Carter, the everyman. You've got the gorgeous and smart Allison Blake. I guess those two words could also be used to describe Nathan Stark.
That a pretty man.
Dude, I don't know what it is. I'm getting into season 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but since season 1, every single new season they have refined how good looking he is. Yeah, he plays the good looking dude in season 1, but then he grows his beard out a little bit more in season 2, and he cuts his hair so it's not all wild, and it's like damn, they really are just making this dude a fucking hunk, huh?
You're not on episode 4 yet, are you?
Episode 4 of season 3?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I just finished I just started season 3.
I figured as much.
I assume something's gonna happen to him then?
He gets a lot less purdy. That's all I'll tell you. He gets a little facial arrangement, if you will.
Well, that's unfortunate for him.
At least he's not Fargo.
Yeah. So I think season 2 has a lot of really good fucking episodes in it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can tell you right off the bat, I know exactly which episode is my favorite. I don't know which one is my least favorite, but they do a really good job of refining what this show was supposed to be and how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, we get introduced to what's his fucking last name? Zane Donovan?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Get introduced to a new character, a new mainstay in season 2, Zane Donovan. They dive more into the artifact in season 2 and its connection to Kevin, Allison Blake's son.
We get a TNA
there's
reference?
A lot of... Oh, yeah, I forgot to look for that at all.
Oh, you cunt.
Yeah.
I think it was.
What episode was that in again?
Episode 8. The Gamma Blocker episode. It's also the introduction of Zane.
Oh, yeah, the one with the chicken?
Yeah. The chicken. I want to eat that chicken. I ain't gonna lie. That lady made that chicken sound good.
Does he really get introduced that late in the season?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
So the one spoiler I'll give you is, by the end of the series, Zane legitimately gets yoked. Hardcore. Hardcore. Fucking doing bodybuilding shows, kind of yoked.
Damn.
Yeah, he starts off all thin and nerdy, and then
with the worst haircut of all time.
Oh, it's so bad. you can tell by season 5, it's because it's thinning. That's the only haircut he can do. So yeah, he gets jacked, and it's hilarious because like the seasons are after this point are divvied up. You know, the next 2 seasons are divvied up across 4 years. So if you look at him at the start of season 2 and the end of at the start of season 3, 2 years have gone by, and he's like 40 pounds heavier. It's ridiculous and hilarious.
Damn, that's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking good. All right, so who did we get any new characters besides Zane introduced this season?
I don't think there was any like main series character. I guess the only one that could count besides Zane is shithead nerd boy that Zoe falls for.
Oh yeah, he
shows up.
sticks around.
Yeah.
He sticks
But
around
other than
for
that,
a while.
Yeah.
You're probably
Other
one of
than
those
that, I don't
girls that
think
doesn't even know how beautiful she is.
Oh my god, yeah.
Who says that?
Oh yeah, what is the thing that she says? She says that's what they all say, and then she's like, "Oh, is that your line to get girls to fall in love with you?" He's like, "No, that's literally what they all say." And I'm like, this fucking sucks."
That that dude's been through like half the women in his school, and he just plays up the "no one likes me" angle because the brooding bad boy thing works so well in high school. I know. It was how I got half my dates. The other half was through incessant begging. Please, I'm so lonely.
It was probably more like 75-25 for the latter.
How about you go fuck yourself? So I drove a shitty F-250 in high school.
Well, that explains a lot.
I can't tell you how many girls actually wanted to date me because of my truck. It's like 6, and I don't know why.
Fucking Fords are god awful.
You're god awful with your slanted shells. Rising Phoenix. Phoenix Rising is the first episode. One of those is right.
It is Phoenix Rising. Yes.
So
I feel is there like a series of X-Men comics that are Phoenix Rising?
You're thinking of the Phoenix Saga.
I know there's the Phoenix Saga, but like at some point, one X-Men writer had to be like Phoenix Rising, because it's such a like cliched like title for anything.
Yeah, it's not great.
If you're gonna reference a phoenix, like everybody goes, well, what about Phoenix Rising? Like I'm pretty sure there's like fighting moves in certain fighting games where they're like a flaming uppercut that's like Phoenix Rising.
Hey, you okay? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
So yeah, in episode 1 of season 2.
So we got to jump right off into what happened at the end of episode 12 from season 1. Kim gets the big dead.
Yeah.
And it forces Henry to go back in time to try to save her. In doing so, he causes a time paradox, and it loops in on itself. So Carter has to go back to stop him from doing the time travel. And they do it X-Men Days of Future Past style, where they go back to their own bodies in that time period, which is outside of Back to the Future, the only way time travel works.
Right.
So he stops Henry, and that's kind of how the episode ends. So we are
pretty much
picking right back up, days later, and Henry and Jack are still cognitive of the future. But as they're discussing how to settle back into new trends and getting back to where things are, Jack wants to get back with Allison because that's where he was in the alternate timeline. And Henry's like, yeah, well, I want to be with Kim, and she's the dead. And Jack's like, yes, sorry about that. So they end up trying to work their way through it because they're best friends. Because he's my best friend who's making me live now, honey. And there's a little tension there, but then all of a sudden a dude explodes. Just
kaboom.
Just ups and there's supposed to be a kaboom. An earth-shattering kaboom. That's the best I could do. I'm sorry.
Your Marvin the Martian is Kermit.
Hey, oh, it's supposed to be a kaboom, an earth-shattering kaboom.
It's done. Excuse me, your airness.
Excuse me, your Ernest? I can't do Marvin. I wish I could.
I can't. But that's one of my favorite parts is when they need a fifth for Space Jam because all the
Ba-da-da-da-da-da!
yes, leading up to that, Marvin the Martian, like, excuse me, and he goes, excuse me, your airness, and then he explains to him that he needs a fifth, otherwise they forfeit, and he goes, forfeit, and Marvin the Martian goes, correct, sir, altitude. And then Bill Murray shows up and saves the day.
So Stark is starting to have some humanity. He was obsessed with the artifact in season 1. Now he's all like, I got Kim killed. Holy shit, I'm a terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, wait, I mean, we're not denying that, but you're aware of it now?
Right.
He can learn. He is sentient. Self-awareness, oh no. Whatever shall we do now? But I think there's a few people who did the big blowing up in this. Yes?
Yeah. There's a couple explosions in Phoenix right
now.
now.
Now I remember. Okay. So originally
Yeah.
they thought it was because of the chili. And of course Jack goes, Vince, what did you put in the chili?
What did you put in your chili?
Cayenne pepper? And Henry's like, well, it'll give you heartburn, but it won't blow you up.
Yeah, it was definitely. I don't like. Yeah, he goes through like a whole list of everything that he puts in it, but it's not the chili.
It's revealed that everyone who's blowing up are people who worked on or worked near Section 5 where they were holding the artifact, and it turns out they were all attached or affected, I should say, some way to when the artifact exploded. So everyone's blowing up because they were essentially affected by the artifact, and even Stark was about to, but they were able to. I forget how they cured him. They threw him like an ice bath or something. I don't fucking remember.
Who knows?
They put cortical implants on the skull, and they're like, "You are not as attractive as you think you are." And he just wakes up like, "That's absurd." Shut up, Carter. You look like a basset hound.
Oh my God. The best part about season 2 is the back and forth between Carter and Stark.
The bickering is A+. So they find out that it was because of the artifact, and they start to worry about Kevin and Stark, but they figure out Stark's going to be all right, and Kevin's not showing any signs of any type of exploding. In fact, the artifact affected him in a completely different way, to the fact that it tethered itself to Kevin's conscience somehow. And, now basically Allie's going full bore into being the worst person in the history of the ever to run a giant multinational conglomerate, because she's going to do everything she can to protect her son at the costs of everyone else.
Right.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's not good. She only trusts Stark, who, to his benefit, actually shows up to be a pretty reliable and decent guy in season 2. Kind of a nice change of pace from his season 1 performance, and he's
they
willing
did exactly what I said they were gonna do.
Yep, and he ends up taking all of the Kevin secrets, and keeping them shut. Not saying a damn word gonna helping Allie out, because as he says, the only things in this world he cares about is her and Kevin. The one thing I will always wonder, they don't bring him up that I'm aware of, but we never find anything out about Kevin's dad. And I wonder if there was ever plans to do something about that, like at all. Like in 5 seasons, we don't know anything about it. So it's kind of weird.
Huh?
Yeah, a little odd, a little peculiar. So at the end of the episode, though, after Henry and Carter save the world again, Henry's convinced that they got to erase their own memories of the future. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck trying to, do this time thing and trying to recreate the future, which could have disastrous effects. Eventually, Carter, relents, and he's like, "So how do we do this?" And then fucking Henry MIBs his ass.
Yeah.
Boom. And while Carter's dazed and confused, I think I forget the actor who plays Henry, but he gives like this little almost evilish kind of monologue. Where he's like, in my heart, I know that what you did was right, and I know that Kim had to die, but I blame you. And Carter's like,
Yeah.
Henry, when did I get here? And Henry's all like, no, you just got here.
Yeah. It really is like like an awful feeling for the viewer because you're like, oh, these two because, and this is like, not to jump ahead too much, but throughout the rest of season 2, they keep like every time that, because he doesn't remember the interaction, every time Jack sees Henry, he kind of remembers bits and pieces of that day. It all starts to flood back to him, and then he would just be like, "Hey, Henry," and Henry's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You're my best friend. You know that, right?" And he's like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
God.
Jack, you too." And I'm like, "Oh no, why?"
Because like that was like midway. No, that was during the E=MC episode, I think, or like right after. Because that was when Henry's like, Jack, I just want you to know that you mean so much to me, and I feel bad because I keep things from you. And Jack's like, the fuck?
Yeah,
like I helped
there's
you
that,
fucking bikini
yeah.
wax. What are you keeping from me? I don't think they actually helped each other bikini wax, but still, the joke stands.
Yeah, that line, and then again, Jack saying that he's his best friend, and Henry just like, "Oh yeah, you're my best friend too." It's like, "Oh, you scumbag!"
'Cause he's your
Like,
best friend.
it's they do a good job of like making you love Henry and hate Henry at the same time in season 2.
I don't. Yes. I think the confliction is a bit different. I don't think they make you hate him. I think they make you hate that he's hiding himself from Carter, essentially.
Yeah.
Because like throughout the entire second season, you just want them to be friends again.
Well, there is the season finale.
Well, yeah, but he was doing the good thing then.
He was doing a good thing, yes, but again, like, there's no way to say you're not watching that episode without knowing the finish, without knowing how it ends, and go, I hate Henry. With prior knowledge, of course, you're like, it all makes sense. But in the moment, you're like, what the fuck? So
they end up firing Stark from his position of director of GD.
Yep.
And they place Allison in the new role. Something Stark doesn't have an issue with. He says, I'm glad it's someone that has morals. So that's good. So we roll to episode 2. And if the Carter and Stark dynamic is your cup of tea, then you are going to love the constant back and forth between Fargo and Larry.
Oh my god. No, I fucking hate Larry.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know you're supposed to hate Stark, but Stark actually has likable qualities.
I told you last week you're not supposed to hate Stark. You just hate Stark.
No, you're supposed to hate Stark.
No, you're not. You're supposed to love Stark because he's so good. He's literally named after Tony Stark. Like, literally, that's what they wanted him to be.
I could tell that, like, that was what they were going for in season 1, and they kind of veered off of it in season 2. Because the season 1 beard and hairstyle was definitely, like, Iron Man look.
Like
they were definitely
Robert Downey version.
Yes. They were definitely going for, like, a Tony Stark look. And then they were just like, handsome guy with a beard.
So
So
they end up putting Fargo in a bubble. It's a bubble episode, folks. Get used to it. Fargo ends up getting a device slipped into his pocket by Larry because Larry wants Fargo's job. Larry deduces that if he can keep Fargo from being at a station for a few hours, that Larry will get his position instead. What Larry doesn't know is the thing he stole is basically a malfunctioning prototype that can't be stopped. So Fargo ends up doing the thing that Fargo is always expected to do. He takes out a device that has a button on it, and Swisher, what does he do?
Farg idiot presses the button.
I like that Farg Idiot finally came into the conversation because season 2 they call him Farg Idiot so often.
God, dude, like, there is one episode in season 2 where you're like, fuck yeah, go Fargo. There's a couple episodes where you're like, go Fargo. But, God, dude, he fucks up so much in season 2. It's not like, uh, but yeah, he pressed the button and it generates a force field around him. But the reason that it was malfunctioning is that they didn't have any way of shutting down the power source, so the force field would continue to grow because it draws power from the atmosphere around it.
Well, it draws from the person as well, because
Yes,
the only way it can be turned off is if the person dies.
Yes, but that's its auxiliary battery.
Yes. So
Because they managed to, yeah.
So basically, they're fucked. Is essentially what they're dealing with. The last time this happened in Eureka, the man inside the shield had to be dropped into a 2-mile deep pit, and then a 3 megaton nuclear bomb was dropped on him.
Yep.
That sucks.
So, it sucks a lot.
They go through all the redundancies to the point where even Joe takes out like a giant fucking space rifle and tries to shoot the bubble. To which Fargo goes, and if that would have worked, it would have killed me. And Joe just kind of shrugs. So they eventually figure out that the only way to shut off the bubble is if they're able to generate some type of counter electric current. I don't know how this, fucking worked, but he uses the supersonic pulse gun thingy to stop Fargo's heart, which shuts off the bubble, and then they resuscitate him. And I think it was Joe who was doing CPR, or was it Carter doing CPR?
It was Allison.
Oh, that's right. And Fargo makes it super creepy.
Of course he does. Well, because Beverly's still here in this episode.
Yes.
And he gives her like a list of all like the things that he wants her to do like for him in case he dies, and that's sending an email to all of the attractive women in Eureka.
Oh, Fargo, you pervert.
And he's like, for each email, you have to swap out like a certain word for each one. He's like, make sure you send one to Allison Blake and to Joe Lupo and to yourself. God,
at a certain point, last requests just become redundant.
Yes.
He's got his own issues to worry about. So,
yeah, you think?
Unpredictable, episode 3. We get to meet Abby, Zoe's mother and Carter's ex-wife.
Oh my God.
Oh, if you think Abby's bad now, wait until like season 4.
I didn't even think she was that bad.
Oh, wait,
she
no, that
was
wasn't
bad.
Abby. No, Jack's sister is worse. I'm sorry. Wait until you meet Jack's sister.
So Abby wasn't bad, but like it made zero sense to me of like, oh, look at these attractive women that are on this show. Allison Blake, Sally Richardson, Erica Serra, who plays Joe Lupo. And then Abby.
To be fair, look at Carter. He looks like a basset.
I know.
Maybe that's the appeal. Maybe the droopy dog.
Like a basset hound.
Maybe the droopy dog dynamic is really working with women.
He just looks like if you like started like a new game of Skyrim and you just chose the basic character.
Funny thing is,
basic.
They make fun of his basset hound features in like season 5. It's great. So Zoe's turning 16 and her mom shows up to take her back home. This pisses off Zoe and pisses off Jack, but the best part is technically Abby doesn't say anything to Zoe about taking her home. Jack blurts it out, "Oh, you want to take her back?" And so he's like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, oh, you didn't tell her, did you? And she's like, no. And Jack's like, damn it. So there's some issues, and eventually, you know, Abby reveals to Zoe that the deal was you could live with your dad for a year, but then you'd come home and live with me. And that doesn't sit well with Zoe because, you know, like, turns out she's really happy here and she gets to be with her dad, and clearly that's the parent she'd rather be with.
Right. Like the thing about it is like I hate the way that they guise it through Zoe's character, because obviously she doesn't want to be, you know, emotionally vulnerable around her parents, but she's like, you guys, she's all mad because she's like, you're not giving me a choice in the matter. It's like, well, you're 16, you wouldn't get a choice in the matter even if you wanted to go.
Actually, that's where you're right that this doesn't make any sense, but for the wrong reasons. Technically, once you hit a certain age, you can petition the court to do whatever the hell you want. Usually it's around 12 or 13. If you want to live with a certain parent, you can go, I'd rather live with my dad. And they'll be like, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But
so
like,
Zoe literally could have decided, like, no, Ma, I'm good here. Lates. And isn't her mom like a doctor?
Yes, she was I think she was like a therapist or like a psychoanalyst or something.
I thought she was a surgeon.
Maybe.
I can't remember.
Oh, she might be an actual doctor. Yeah, I don't know.
Doctor.
Doctor
Jan Etor.
Dr. Jan Etor.
Dr. Acula.
God. One of my favorite scenes involving Dr. Jan Etor is either Dr. Cox saying, either this kid's colon has a great idea, or he's got a light bulb stuck up his ass.
I love the excuse. What? I was bored.
He said, what? I was bored.
And then fucking
so they had
janitor's like, actually, the neck of it is the most firm. Or no, is the most sensitive. It's the bulb that's the most firm. Like, how would you know that? Fucking Christ, Doc. Etor.
Dr. Jan Etor.
So there's a freak weather event. Turns out there's a freezing at a local lake caused by a device built to control the weather. This is one of the craziest fucking things ever because the designer, if I'm remembering this episode right, is going blind. Yes.
Yeah. The dude, the guy who designed the device is going blind, but he is blind.
No, he's not, because he can still do his work, but he's unable to do it in bright lights.
No, he has a special pair of glasses that he wears that gives him his limited vision back.
Right, so he's not blind. Blind people don't get to have special glasses. They're just blind.
He's blind when he's not wearing the glasses. He can't see anything when he's not wearing the glasses.
If I take my glasses off, I can't see anything either. I'm not blind, though.
God, it's Eureka, Chad. What do you mean there's not a fucking special pair of glasses? They literally have a headset that lets you see invisible people.
Well, that's just common sense.
I'm gonna throw you over a cliff.
Make sure you throw those fucking slanted shells with me.
I'm gonna beat you to death with those shells.
So this is the craziest fucking part, though. They're like, you killed the meteorologist because he was sleeping with your wife. And he's like, yeah, I know. And they're like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. I'm a cuck.
Yeah, he's like, why would I want to take away my wife's only source of happiness? And I was like, huh? I'm like, what year is this? Season 2, 2007? Oh, they were cuckolding before cuckolding was popular.
Yeah, we've reached into some fucking nonsense in this episode, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, firstly, to have a machine to base your weather off the weather of Ohio, get over yourself, man. It's not really, but it could be.
Wasn't this the episode where they went in, or where the thing was coming? No. That's a different episode with the lightning storm, because that was with Andy. Never mind. You don't know who Andy is yet. You will. Andy's awesome. kind of.
But yeah, they end up finding out that the meteorologist of the town, who works for the town news station, predicted that the storm was coming like an hour before the storm actually started to move in or something like that. It was like something like that.
Carter fights a hurricane and wins.
He does. The entire time I was watching that, I was like, if I was Carter, I'd be so fucking mad. Because they're sitting there like, Carter, how hard is it to push a button? And he's literally fucking doing the mime fighting a windstorm. And I'd be like, if I was Carter, I would be so pissed.
At the end of the episode, doesn't he just go, I quit? Yeah, I quit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just goes, I quit. He turns off the machine and everything calms down. Like, Carter, did you do it? Carter, is everything okay? And he goes, I quit. Oh, man.
So at the end of the episode, it's basically revealed that Zoe has to leave to go back to California following the end of the current semester.
Yes.
And that's how we end the episode. That partly is right into episode 4, Games People
Dun,
Play.
dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah, this fucking episode.
Knife wrench for kids.
Knife wrench.
Where's
It's
my
a knife.
son?
And a wrench.
Where's my son? He's playing out on the balcony. What? No, I'm kidding. He's green.
He's green.
So Carter and Joe end up investigating a noise complaint, and he bonks his head, giving himself a nasty concussion.
Yeah, he hits his head on some scientist machine.
A machine that he's not supposed to even have because he doesn't have the proper permits.
Yeah.
All these fucking assholes don't have the goddamn fucking permits for their goddamn Armageddon machines. Limp dick bitches. So he's got a headache.
Just get the proper paperwork.
It's that simple. Zoe's doing virtual therapy, where she's acting out scenes within a device that allows her to work through her stress.
Yeah, it's called like the ATS or something like that, and it's a pair of glasses that like puts you into a virtual reality world where you can work through your emotional issues. And the reason that she's doing this is because Beverly Barlow, what's her? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah, Beverly Barlow has fled Eureka because
well, no, she hasn't fled yet.
This.
No, she's out of town.
No, she's left already because they're getting ready to reinstate Hank to Global.
Right, but she hasn't left because she gives Zoe the glasses to use while she's quote unquote out of town. That's why they keep calling her throughout the episode to try to get to find out when she's coming back because of what's going on with Carter.
Yeah, and she never picks up her phone because she left.
Well, we don't know that yet. Jumping the fucking gun, why don't you?
No, we do know that she fled. There's a whole scene where she takes all of her shit out of her safe.
When was this scene? Was it in episode 3?
It was in episode 3 because it was they set her up. They set Abby up at Beverly's, or they're going to, but then Beverly's gone by that point because she's fled. It was either the end of episode 2 or right at the beginning of episode 3. Because they're gonna reinstate Hank to Global Dynamics to take over Kim's research, and she realizes that if Hank starts taking over research,
you mean Henry?
Yeah, I keep saying Hank. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know because that was thrown. I'm like, who the fuck is Hank?
Yeah, well, Hank is actually short for Henry.
Yeah, it's also a completely different name though.
I know.
In fact, they
I
never
understand.
call him Hank ever once.
I don't. Yeah, I know they don't. I don't know why I've called him Hank. All right, maybe because I'm thinking about fucking.
Well, you think about fucking people on your own time. So, Zoe gives throws the therapy glasses at her dad. She's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, she storms off because she's all mad.
So the very next thing is like he goes downstairs to talk to Zoe. Zoe doesn't want to hear any of it. Then he ends up looking for Joe. Joe's talking to him in the jail, But then Joe, he blinks and Joe's gone. So then he goes up to Allison. He's like, my deputy's gone. And she's like, you don't have a deputy. He's like, Joe Lupo. And she's like, there's no one named Joe Lupo here. And then people start disappearing left and right. Oh, geez. I wonder what's going on.
Whatever could it be?
I think it's like he goes to the edge of the town and he sees that it's like just nothing. And then he's like, what the hell's going on? And like you can hear Zoe's voice, and then they pull back and you see Jack in Eureka's medical lab with the fucking glasses on, and Zoe's trying to wake her dad up, and he's in a concussion-fueled nightmare, essentially, due to these fucking glasses. And no one knows how to get him off, and Abby's like, just pull him off his head. And they're like, there's like 1,000 reasons why that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think they like explain it by saying that because he was concussed, there's chemicals that are activating in his brain right now that are like locked into the ATS system, and if they pull the glasses off his face without him getting out himself, it could send him into like an epileptic shock or something like that.
Yeah, he could have a seizure.
Yeah, and basically it could just completely kill him.
The glasses allow the user to cognitively traverse their pain. So they're aware that everything they're dealing with is fake. They're aware that they're in a augmented reality and they can leave any time. The concussion prohibits Jack from knowing that. So they basically deduce that Jack needs to figure out that he's in this and then he can come back.
Which he ends up doing.
Right, after everyone dies and it's just him and Zoe, and he's like, maybe, I got to let go and maybe that's how I come back. And Zoe's like, that sounds like a bad idea. And Jack's like, you're probably not even real. Shut the fuck up. So he ends up going into the light and waking up. And, he pretty much tells Abby, like, if you take my daughter, I'll fucking find you, bitch. Only he says it a lot nicer.
Yeah, he's way too nice about it. But he is like, if you take my daughter away from me, I'm going to fucking kill everyone in this town, you and myself.
He actually says, if you're dead set on doing this, I'm going to put in my transfer to go back to L.A. because my daughter means more to me than anything. And Abby's like, well, that's the first time you've ever actually put someone ahead of your career. So, all right, Jack, you were a shit husband, but I'm going to let you be a good dad. And Abby lets her stay. So.
Yeah, she's like, this place is perfect for Zoe. And it's like, is it?
Well, it is, and one of the things that convinces her is like the entire town shows when they find out that Jack is in a coma, and of course,
that fucking scene.
Fucking Vince shows up with all of his food.
That scene, they're like, there's so many people there, and Abby's like, what do you? You're all here for Jack? And it's like, well, yeah, Abby, like Jack's our sheriff,
and that's our girl.
Zoe's our girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like.
You're right, just ugly crying.
This whole town loves him and loves her.
It's fucking great.
Vincent is a really underrated character in this show.
Mm-hmm. And he's the only openly gay character, I believe, on the show as well.
I think so, yeah.
And they don't give him much play, but he is because he's always hitting on or always kind of talking with the girls about the guys.
It's so great to just like, I know there's an episode, it's whatever episode towards the end where you find out about the thing about, I think it's like either the last episode or the second to last episode where you find out about Allison Blake and Nathan Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they leave the cafe, he runs up to Zoe, who's waitressing there. He's like, you are not going to believe this. I was like, that's pretty good. She's like, zero hesitation. They've literally just stepped out the door, Vincent.
Gotta love gossip.
Oh, man.
So the next episode is titled Duck Duck Goose. Already know it's going to be fantastic. Mm-hmm. So basically, giant space debris is being yanked down because the new security system at Global uses fucking magnets for some reason.
Yeah.
Remember
it's
last
like a magnetic
week
array.
That when we talked about that Jack is basically just a live action Looney Tunes character.
Oh, yeah.
So Jack gets scanned for this new system and walks into the hallway and immediately gets yanked into the ground, and he's laying there in the most uncomfortable position possible, going, "Ah, that hurt. Why can't I
He
move?"
can't. Yeah, and like the lady who installed the system was like, "I sent you the paperwork, Sheriff. You were supposed to do it." Blah 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 blah. He's like, "This is temporary, but you need to get me your clearance DNA sample, whatever, by the end of the day."
It's just the funniest fucking like that whole because he just walks in and zonk.
Yeah, it's he's standing stark upright and then is immediately horizontal.
Like his legs are bent behind his back as he's laying. Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
It's like Hermes Conrad doing the limbo against Barbados Slim. That's a Futurama reference.
All right.
You've never seen Futurama, have you?
Episodes. I had no idea who Hermes Conrad or Barbados Slim is, but all right. I now realize that Hermes is the Rastafarian
Jamaican accountant.
Yes.
Yes.
But-
He went to the Olympics for limbo.
Oh, okay. That's enough. I don't need to hear anymore.
And he lost out to a man named Barbados Slim.
So they find out that the woman who put in the new security device has stolen her daughter's research, but has
Yes.
done it poorly.
Yeah, they get this is a very sciencey heavy episode.
You got some dude who won like a high school MVP trophy award and ends up, never amounting to anything except for watching space debris over Eureka. Oh, he gets mean.
Yeah, his whole thing is it's like they're off at a conference in California. Meanwhile, I get to watch the telescope.
But he doesn't.
Come on, dude.
I think he even says, "But I don't even get to adjust it. I have to call someone to get clearance to adjust it."
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, the subplot of this is that the daughter and Zoe are feuding with the science fair. But the two of them have to work together to undo her mom's fuckery with her machine,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up saving the day. Because they're being pelted by space debris. I think what they end up they're not able to stop it, but they're able to
they redirect it slightly so that it burns up in the atmosphere.
Oh, there's a giant magnet under the floor of the Eureka gym.
Yup.
I forgot that was the beginning of this episode.
Jack goes in there
with Carter's workout gear.
And Allison's like, "Jack, I don't often see you in here." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in here all the time." And he's looking around and he goes, "So where's all the weights?" And then
he's like,
Stark's like, "It's magnetic, Carter. It's resistance."
It's resistance. So they amp up the magnet and they force it so that the point of entry for the scrap metal and all the debris burn up in the atmosphere instead of crashing into Eureka and turning it into a junkyard.
Wasn't this also the episode where Zoe takes her IQ test?
It was either this one or Games People Play. I think it was this one. Because it's definitely not after episode
No, it's this one because she tells him that she's like 1 point better than him at night, and that's also when she gets the new car. So it's Duck Duck Goose. So
yes. So, God, what a fucking. They ask Carter what he got on his IQ test in high school, and he tells them that he got a 111, and they were surprised, and he was like, "See, I told you I'm smart. I got 111% on a test I didn't even study for."
And Zoe's like, "Yeah, I got a 112. You're like, "Yeah, look at you, smarter than your dad." She actually got like a 160 or some bullshit like that, 150.
So
it was 148, I think.
It was 157.
157. Completely wrong.
I love the fact that he goes, "So I looked up how IQ scores work.
Turns out I'm average."
He goes, "Yeah, I'm average." He goes, "No matter what your IQ is, I'll tell you what." He's like, "I love you no matter what." And she opens it up. She sees 157. She goes, and yeah. Also, Zoe got second place in science fair. The lady's daughter got first place. She got a 1-year internship, Global Dynamics. Second place, Zoe got a new fucking car.
A new electric smart car. What was her project anyway? I forget. I thought it was like fireflies or fruit flies.
It
Or
was
something.
genetic mutations in flies.
I love how
Yeah.
there's like a 9-year-old in this group of like mean girls, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, you're stealing
Also-
Asimov's project." Like fuck you,
Yeah.
9-year-old. Shut up.
Also, in this entire episode, Joe is in a SWAT uniform because she knows that the science fair always causes problems. But these three, the mean girls walking down the hall, and Joe calls them the Heathers, but only one of them is named Heather.
Well, yeah. You got the reference though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got the reference, but I was like, they're actually gonna pull the fucking joke with like the Heathers. And it was like, no, it's like this one's Heather, that one's Tina, and that one's Megan.
I just love that Joe is fucking stocked to the nines for this fucking
She's in
bullshit.
full SWAT gear.
And Kurt's like, "Don't you think you're overreacting?" And she looks at him and goes, "You don't know what you're up against." Like you can see the fear in her eyes.
She's great.
Oh,
Fantastic.
yeah. Fucking Joe Lupo. So the new card does come back into play later on in the season. Episode 6, Noche de Sueños. Noche de Sueños.
Noche de Sueños.
So basically, they have a shared dream, and it turns out that Joe thinks of Fargo as a Zorro-esque figure. Love that.
So there's an epidemic of shared dreaming. This is one of my favorite episodes of the season.
Mhm.
We'll get to the like our top episodes, but like episode 6 and episode 7 are two of my favorites. There's all this shared dreaming, and it's pissing a bunch of people off. But they also find out later that the shared dreaming is fatal because it causes some sort of compound to build up in the person's spinal cord.
Mhm.
A couple people die. I'm trying to think exactly how this one goes.
So I remember this one vividly. So they investigate a truck crash of a guy who was working
Yes.
kind of as a moonlighter. He ends up spilling a bunch of potentially contaminant stuff all over the place, and Jack
And
has to
whose
save
fault was it that he crashed?
Fargo, obviously.
Fargo idiot.
So Fargo and Jack end up getting exposed, but it ends up being revealed like it's basically nothing. You're fine. But Jack starts having shared dreams. I forget who the first one was with though, but Jack was walking around naked, and he goes into work the next day, and Joe's laughing because Joe had a dream where Carter walked in naked, and he's like, "What's so funny?" And Joe's like, "Nothing." And eventually they all kind of figure out that Joe had, that they started to have the same dream as Jack. So they go through all the possibilities as why all these people are starting to have shared dreams. They end up having like a sleep study at Vincent's, and it's revealed that everyone who's having the same the sleep study, not the sleep study, the shared dreams, is because they're all on the same pay grade. And it turns out that a person was running tests with a new dream thing at Global Dynamics, but they were using targeted experiments on the town of Eureka with the certain pay grade. And Jack's like, "That's illegal." And Allison's like, "Actually, it's super not. Everyone who works there signs a waiver to allow GD to experiment on them at any time." And Jack's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, like what she says is like in your contract it states that you can be subjected to double blind studies at any opportunity.
Yep.
And he looks at Allison, and Allison just goes, "I told you to read your contract."
It's eventually revealed that the cause of all this actually isn't the experiment, but Allison, who set up
Not just Allison.
Well, yes, Allison and Stark fucking crazy. You leave Stark alone. He's trying to do something. He's trying to get the booty. Allison set up a device with Stark's help that would allow her to experience Kevin's dreams.
Yep.
But this, alongside the the other experiment going on has caused some type of mass, almost dream hysteria, and the stuff that's building up in people's spinal fluids is actually, that's actually a real thing. If you don't sleep for a long enough time, it's some type of, I forget what it's called, but it actually affects your nervous system. And
Yeah.
it's at this point where Joe starts to tell Carter, like, you're going to need to do this out without me. And Jack's like, why? And she's like, I can't feel my legs. And Jack's like, oh, whoa, uh-oh. It's not good. So he has to get Stark to turn off the device. Stark does. But Allison's, like, really kind of fucking pissed about it. Because Allison's all about the big, bad kind of, super-duper selfishness at the moment. And fucking Carter goes off on her like, what the hell were you thinking? You could have gotten us all killed. And she was very much like, nah, I'm good. And Jack's like, oh, that's how we're going to play it? Okay.
Yeah, this is like a turning point in their relationship for sure. Because Carter's like, he's like, you put the lives of everyone here at risk for your own selfish purposes. And she's like, if this was your son or your daughter, if this was Zoe, you would do anything for her. And he's like, you're damn right. But at the same time, I'm also like, he gives her this whole explanation of like, he's like, I'm not you, because he's got to be Carter. He's got to be mad. Like, he's trying to be understanding because he understands that they're trying to save Kevin's life. But at the same time,
well, hang on. No, they're not. They're not trying to save Kevin's life. They're trying to understand what's going on with him because Kevin is in no actual danger. That needs to be clear. Kevin is losing the elements of his autism.
I thought that Stark mentioned something in one episode about like the more attuned with the artifact becomes, like the artifact could end up killing him.
That's only near the end. At this point,
okay.
The only thing that's happening is he's developing more motor skills and more vocal skills. He's starting to become more talkative, he's starting to talk to his mom more, and Allison is doing everything she can to keep that. Because like one of the things she says to Carter was something to the effect like, I finally understand who my son is. And like, you don't understand how hard that is for me to let go. And that's kind of like where Jack finally just breaks. He's like, you're putting people's lives at risk here, Allison, and you don't seem to care. And that was kind of like the big blow up. Yeah, I think in like episode 10 or 11, they realized that if they don't do something about the artifact and Kevin, Kevin could potentially fade away into nothing.
Yeah.
So you like episode 7. Family reunion.
Yes. Episode 7 was great.
We get to meet Pierre Fargo.
So,
and every time I say his name, I think of the Ruggles ice cream song. Dun 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 dun. Grab your spoon and grab your something. Let's sing the Ruggles ice cream scoop, scoop. Yum yum. Ruggles ice cream premium scoop scoop. Yum yum. Ruggles gotta get me some more. Sorry.
You done?
I am now. Pierre Fargo.
All right. So yeah, the episode opens up with them talking about cryogenics and how they're about to revive someone from cryogenic suspension. It's been 50 years. It turns out that it was Pierre Fargo.
They weren't about to. They were moving the cryogenics to a different part of the facility, but one of them starts to open up.
That's right, yeah.
And it ends up being Pierre Fargo.
Who is in the cryogenic containment unit backwards.
Because, of course, he is. Farg idiot.
Yeah, he's in full lab attire. So, and he looks like, and he's frozen in a stance that's like he's got his hand up like he's like protesting something. So they unthaw him and they like learn that they thought he had been missing for 50 years, that he ran off and that he resigned from Global Dynamics because he just, for whatever reason. And that,
they
like,
thought he
never
skipped town because his wife got pregnant or fiance got pregnant.
Well, that becomes one of the theories later on. So yeah, her name was like something, I don't know, Belle.
Yeah, it's
or something like that. I think his Fargo's grandmother's name is Belle. Um, so they're like reintroducing him to the world, and he's like, well, that was my theory, and he's like, no, that was Andrei Surov's theory. And he's like, no, it was mine. The cryogenic stuff was mine. Everything that Andrei Surov is based his whole career off was mine. And so he goes to see if his old friend Charlie, who runs the jewelry store in Eureka, still has the diamond that he was growing to give to Belle. But Charlie said that he sold it off. They go back to Eureka. He realizes he doesn't have much left to live for, so he just wants to clear his name.
Well, you're skipping.
They launch.
They find out that
What
Pierre
a-
Fargo is accelerating in his aging because of the some bullshit involving cryogenics. That's why he doesn't have much to live for, because he's dying.
Well, so no, he initially says that like he doesn't really have much else to do, like not much to live for. There's a bad choice of words, but he says that he doesn't really know what to do with himself, so he might as well try and clear his good name. Because he's not like Fargo, the Farg idiot, who's a weak stick that you could break over your knee at any point. He's actually a man with values and determination and grit. He may because there is a point where I forget what Carter says to him, but he insinuates something, and he tells him about Belle being pregnant, and he rolls up his sleeves, and he's like, "I will not have you besmirch the name of my good lady," and he puts up his like the old timey fighting stance. It's like, yeah, Fargo's not gonna threaten to punch you.
Yeah, Fargo is
But
a piece of stale pasta.
Yeah, but Pierre Fargo is definitely a man of conviction. So they set out to start clearing his good name. Like I know him and Fargo before he starts aging rapidly. They break into the records room to get his letter of resignation. They find the letter of resignation. Carter and Joe go see Andrei Surov and ask him about the research, and of course he denies stealing the research and he denies all this, blah blah blah. So then they take him to the jail cell for because they broke into the record room. They take him to the jail. He goes into the bathroom. He's the bathroom. When he comes out, he's an old man. So they take him to back to Global Dynamics, put him in the infirmary, where they find out that he's aging rapidly. Trying to think what is like the next course of action. Nathan Stark comes in, and Carter says, "Hey, you know Surov's research better than anybody except Surov. So if you don't think that he's telling the truth, ask him these questions, and if he can't answer these questions, then we'll know." So Stark asks him a series of questions, and of course he answers them all down to the very last detail. And Stark's like, "Well, your research was responsible for a huge number of steps here at Global Dynamics." They go confront Surov at his party that he's hosting. Before they go confront him, did they stop the accelerating or deaccelerating?
No, because the
Okay.
one thing he says is, you did this to me on purpose. You
Yeah.
you sentenced me to death or something like that. And he's like, listen, I stole your shit. I ain't gonna deny that. You are gone. I was fucking about to get fired. I'ma steal your shit. But I didn't put you in the goddamn container that turned you into a fucking popsicle.
Yeah, because Surov tells him, he goes, "Look, I came in one day, your work was sitting there, and you were gone. It's like we had no idea." So Surov comes and helps him. They figure out the aging process, and while all that's happening, and they're fixing his rapid aging, Carter figures out. He goes, "Hey, you still have that?" Or no, they fix it, and then Carter's like, "Hey, do you still have that slip for your ring?" And he looks at it, and the signature from the ring slip was copied over onto his letter of resignation. And they find out that it was Charlie. And Charlie had pushed him in there because he was in love with Belle, and Belle was in love with him. And he figured that with him out of the way, that he could be with Belle, but she never ended up getting over him. They take Charlie to jail, even though Pierre Fargo tells him, "Nah, don't." Like he has to live by himself for the rest of his life. And Jack's like, "Well, it doesn't really work like that, pal." Um, so then Belle comes back from her trip and sees him in. Fargo takes her to Cafe Diem. She walks in and sees him standing there, and he says something about like, "You're so beautiful," blah blah blah. He gives her the ring, and then happily ever after.
And then they die next year because they're like 90.
Probably.
So it was an episode. I'm glad you
I
liked
think it was a great episode.
I found Pierre Fargo to be kind of a dick.
I thought he was goofy.
He was
like Fargo's an idiot. Pierre Fargo's goofy, where because he's still stuck in the 50s or whenever this was. Yeah, the 50s.
yeah.
So he's sitting there. He's like, "I will not have you besmirch the good name of my lady. Put him up."
Man, see, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely. I really thought it was a good episode. But yeah, you can go on and take on the next episode.
Episode 8 equals MC squared. Maybe my favorite. It's actually E equals MC question mark. Why are you me?
Because it's the stereotypical episode where they introduce the rebel bad boy.
Yes. So Zane Donovan is introduced in Chicago, and he's hacking something in a computer video game place. I guess I don't know.
He's in the very last EB games.
He's in like some internet cafe, and he's like, "Is there a back door?"
Yeah.
Beautiful, because he's already flirting with everyone. And she's like, "Yeah, but no one's supposed to." And he's like, "I won't tell if you don't." And then he bolts for the door, but the FBI, descend on him. He's like, "Hey, what's up, fucker?" And Zane's like, I couldn't give you a head start. And he's like, "Nope." So they take him back to wherever, like fucking Chicago, I think. And then Allison walks in like, "Hey, you want to go to jail?" And Zane's like, "Not necessarily. Why? You got a better offer?" And she's like, "Come work for me in Oregon." So he goes over and he's like, he's better than jail. And he ends up rolling in with this headhunter dude who's so smarmy, just so gross. But he addresses everyone in Eureka as his people because apparently he helped find most of the people who came here. Fair enough.
Yeah.
They are coming in at a time where they are recreating the Big Bang device. Why? I don't know. It's just fucking stupidity. Why? I don't know. They're just fucking stupid. So everyone has this big old chicken eatery beforehand, and Zane's like, "I ain't eating that. Do you know how chickens are kept? They're all pent up and they're prisoners and they peck at each other." And Jack's like, "You are not gonna make me not hungry," because they're now handcuffed to one another because Zane is basically a flight risk.
They have like digital handcuffs.
Yes,
they
have electric handcuffs.
Yeah.
So
if Zane gets a certain distance away.
No, not even that. There's a button on Carter's wrist that he can hit anytime he wants. So
and it shocks the hell out of him.
So if he thinks Zane is running away, he hits it.
And Joe's got one too.
No, she doesn't. There's only two. Joe gives Carter hers, but Carter puts the wrong one on Zane, and Zane pushes the button, and Jack goes full Looney Tunes because Jack is a fucking live action Looney Tunes character.
He's a fucking cartoon character.
So they, eventually they get the right cuffs on, and they're at this chicken eatery, but Zane doesn't want to eat any of the chicken. You think he's a vegan? He's not. He eats all sorts of meats. He just don't want to have chicken because he's being difficult. But Jack looks around and doesn't see him, so he presses the button, and all of a sudden you just hear him go, "Ah!" And then you see like a bunch of napkins fly in the air, and he's like, "I was getting napkins." And Jack's like, "I'm going to like this." But eventually what ends up happening is everyone in Eureka starts to get dumb. This is a good opportunity for Zane to take off. And Zane ends up using a remote control to like get into Jack's credit card system and orders a bunch of shit and gives Joe a bunch of lingerie, which that's going to leave a broken nose in the morning. I'm telling you that. But eventually, Zane he escapes because he's Zane, and Jack is left to try to figure out why everyone in Eureka is getting dumber, and all the while the Big Bang device is, running dangerously close to breaking down its barrier and, destroying the town. So he ends up running into a woman, and he's like, "Are you dumb? What's the square root of like 5,468 to the square root?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "God damn it!" But she's like, "If you ask me anything about dog genetics, I'd know that answer." And he's like, "Oh, good, you're not dumb." So they end up getting together, all like the random ass fucking doctors who don't do anything of relevance in Eureka, just a fucking drain on the system. And he's like, "Does anyone know anything about quantum mechanics?" And everyone's like, "Well, I don't know." And then that guy's like, kind of raises his hand, and Jack's like, "All right, we're fucked." So they end up deducing that everyone's stupid because of the chicken that they all ate, because the chicken was cloned. You see, cloned from one singular chicken, and pumped full of biclusamine or something like that. And it ends up being a GABA blocker, and GABA blockers apparently inhibit the chemicals in the brain that that promote higher brain function, so it reduces it and makes people stupid.
Yes.
To finish off the Big Bang device, though, he's able to find Zane and bring him back to town by calling his mother. And Zane's like, "All right, Jack, how'd you find me? Satellite in the sky, tiny ass, tracking device in my wrist." And Jack's like, "I called your mom."
Yeah, he's like, you read, he's like, "Oh, was this place in my file?" Like, he tells him the exact details of the cabin, and Zane's like, he's like, "How'd you figure that one out? Was it in my file? I didn't know my file was that extensive. Or did you do this? Blah, blah, blah."
Yeah, did you
He's
track
like,
me
all
with a
the things that-
satellite? Did you have a subdermal tracking device on me? And Jack just goes, "No, I called your mom."
He goes, "I called your mom." And then Zane goes, "Oh." And Carter starts to walk away, and then Zane goes, "Wait, you called my mom?"
He was so worried. So it's eventually revealed that Zane's a douchebag, but he's not a bad guy. He was awarded this grant that no longer gets handed out because someone stole the money from the woman who was doing it, and Zane ended up stealing like $3 million or some bullshit like that, and donating it to her, so she could give out the award again. And
Yes.
Jack's, Zane goes, "Are you going to turn me in?" Jack goes, nah. So Zane's kind of given a second life in Eureka, and he ends up helping Jack solve the Big Bang issue by taking the electrical bracelets that they have and promoting some kind of force field around the explosion at the exact right time, and it's kind of dumb. But it saves the town, and at one point, Henry starts watching TNA wrestling.
Yes.
Slammiversary 07. Fucking happens. I love it. It's one of the reasons I love this episode. So yeah. Oh, also, I think... nope, that's a different episode. I thought this was the episode where Zoe went full ham hock with a bat on Carter. Wrong episode, though. I think that's season 1. Is that my World Series bat? You put that down or you're grounded. Oh, good, it's you.
God, every time he mentions his World Series bat, all I can think of is the fucking scene from Basketball where they throw his Ty Cobb bat, his autographed Ty Cobb bat into the fire.
Not a fan.
Of Basketball?
Yup.
You suck, so it doesn't matter.
At least I put up straight shelves.
You can sit there and fucking insult me about the shelving all you want. I know that they're level.
I'll let you think that. So Carter and Zoe end up having a fun episode in episode 9. Zoe gets to finally drive her car. Hooray!
Yes.
Hooray!
Yay,
And
woo.
Jack has some rules. No boys, no boys, no boys. And no music. So Zoe, literally 13 seconds into her drive, decides to have music and a boy in her car.
Yeah. She pulls up on what's his name? Jasper.
Jasper.
He's like a kind of like the high school bad boy, but he's not, because nobody in this fucking high school can be a bad boy because they're all fucking dweebs.
And he says the worst thing ever. "Will you be my damsel in shining armor?" Oh, drown him in his stupidity.
Yeah, and then he follows it up by saying, "Come on, help me out. I'm a knight in distress here."
someone should take a small pair of nails and just drive them into his temple. Not to kill him, but cause excruciating pain for a while.
So they start driving. He gets in the car. They start driving. And then the audacity of this kid puts his fucking hand on her thigh, distracts her, and she hits an invisible person.
Well, no. Hey, fucking burying the lead. She hits something she can't see. We end up finding out that she ends up hitting an invisible person. Thanks for going straight to the fucking conclusion.
This episode sucks.
This episode is awesome. Fuck you.
No, this episode was just too much of a drag.
No, this episode was legitimately one of my favorites. So you shut up. So Zoe ends up getting reamed out because she destroyed her car because of a boy, and Jack's like, I don't want to hear it. And they end up finding out that the thing that Zoe hit ends up turning her car translucent. So this is also the episode where they introduced the lady who works at the laundromat. I like her. She nice. Do you not remember her?
I know who you're talking about. I was trying to remember her name, but no, it's out. It's gone.
It's like Sarah Beth or Mary Beth or Beth Beth.
Did you say Beth?
Yes, I did. It's Quantum
It's
Leap.
like, yeah, Mary Beth or Mary or
Quite contrary, something like that. So she's totally vibing on Carter. She even has it in her database that it's Carter's 1-year anniversary since coming to the town. Yeah. But throughout Jack's investigation, Jack finds out that she was involved in some hardcore invisibility projects. Also, this is the episode I think where they find out that the common cold has a cure.
yeah.
The common cold has a cure? Yeah, but it's too expensive for mass production. And Jack's like, what? So they end up finding out that there's like the Ocavia chords or Rogavia, something like that. Basically, they banned all invisibility projects. So they think, because she used to be part of the project that she might be doing it, which upsets her because she wants to bone the sheriff, and now he's pretty much making her suspect numero uno. Turns out that Zoe ends up hitting one of the other researchers on the project who ended up turning him... No, he wasn't a researcher on the project. He was a super spook. He was a former CIA agent that everyone is afraid of. And he ends up figuring out how to turn himself invisible, but he can't turn himself back. So he's trying to steal all the things he needs to make the antidote, which is good because Jack ends up cutting his hand on Zoe's car, which is now invisible. And in turn, that gets into his blood stream, and it turns him invisible, forcing Jack and Fargo to partner up, and Fargo wears the heat goggles so he can see Jack. Now, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal at first, but Jack ends up having radiation issues because of the shit that turns him invisible. So there's a race against the clock to save Jack. They end up using this really gross fucking paper to bring him back, and it's real. It's a real fucking real fucking thing. I like this episode. It's a good episode. I don't know why Swish.
Well, there's no accounting for taste.
Well, you like the one with Fargo's grandpa, so you're right about that.
That's a good episode.
Yeah, if you say so. Got in the details. Episode 10. This might be one of my low-key favorites.
This episode was really good, but also very ridiculous.
Oh, super ridiculous. Basically, the end times are here. And everyone's like, why is this happening? And everyone's like, yeah, it was probably someone trying to bring people to church. And it turns out that's exactly what it was happening, essentially. A woman figures out how to open a temporal rift that she believes is going to heaven. And Jack's like, lady, there ain't no such thing as God. You're a scientist, for Christ's sakes. And Henry's like, well, Jack, they say God's in the science, or science is in the God. And so like they talk her off the ledge from jumping into the fucking temporal rift that will just tear her to fucking shreds. And Henry's like, maybe I'll just poke my head in. And Jack's like, maybe you won't come back with a head. And Henry's like, that's a valid point. So they end up all deciding to go to church instead. It's a weird episode.
Yeah, it's definitely weird because like this lady's like, I'm going to go through this portal that's definitely going to take me to heaven. What?
Definitely not going to. Definitely going to turn you into smush.
I like, all right. So for the sake of this episode, let's just have a hypothetical argument. All right. Hypothetically speaking, let's say that heaven was a real place that but even if it was a real place, like it's a place that you could end up in the afterlife when you die, I don't think that even through science you could just get yourself there physically, because you don't physically go to heaven when you die. A manifestation of your spirit and your soul is taken to heaven.
I think we know how heaven works. The craziest
Yeah,
thing, though, is that her device ends up causing like the water to run red. I think locusts to show up. Zoe loses her voice, which
yeah,
is
a bunch of
ironic.
people lose their voices. There's rolling blackouts.
Zoe ends up revealing that she has a tattoo. Granted, it's temporary, but it doesn't stop Jack from freaking the fuck out. Jack don't want a 16-year-old daughter to have tattoos.
Doesn't Allison like turn into like a bioluminescent?
She turns into Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Remember?
They're saying boo earns, boo earns.
Remember the episode where Mr. Burns is all hopped up on like some type of new medication that turns him into a glowy thing, and they think he's an alien?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically what happens to Allison.
But then they use Kevin's artifact powers to heal her.
I actually wonder about this because he comes in right when the machine is turned off.
Yeah, and that's actually a point of contention, I think, in the next episode.
Right, so I don't know.
No, it's at the end of the episode.
Right, so I don't know if Kevin actually heals Allison so much as Allison just is no longer affected because the machine turns off. But Stark wants to believe so much in Kevin and his abilities that he actually thinks that Kevin healed Allison. We don't ever get a clear answer on which one it is, but there is a bit of a debate. I forget exactly when. I think you might be right about the end of the episode.
It was at the end of the episode. They were leaving church.
But it's one of those things where it kind of leaves a lot of debate open for it. So, what are you going to do? So, that takes us to episode 11, Man-Eater. My favorite episode, maybe, of the entire season.
I think I might agree with you.
Basically, Jack gets a lot of shit into his system, and it makes him unbelievably attractive to all the women in town.
They're like ancient spores?
Yep.
Yeah. That increase his, like...
It increases his libido, not his serotonin, his pheromone output. So when women smell him, they get the sense they go right into heat. They want to get fucked right there, raw dog style.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's like fantastic because like it affects Joe, and then when Carter's like, she's like all over him and she kisses him, and then Carter leaves, and then like 10 minutes later she calls him. She's like, I want you to know that not now nor ever have I ever been attracted to you. Oh, this whole episode starts out with with Carter and Joe in a simulation, simulating an example of sexual harassment, where they're in the sheriff's office and they're like, they got fans blowing on around them, and Carter looks at Joe and he goes, "Is it's really hot in here?" And she's like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, since it's so hot in here, I wouldn't mind if you had to take some clothes off or something to cool down. There's no one else around. It's just me and you." And then Joe immediately busts out into laughter.
And of course, the lady running it goes, "Can we get some composure here? This is a very real problem, and women everywhere are affected. And I don't think they would find it funny, Miss Lupo." And Lupo has to apologize because it's fucking stupid. And she's laughing so hard at Jack's terrible advances.
What a dumb line.
Oh, it's so good. So basically, what ends up happening is the guy who runs Eureka's plumbing, essentially, accidentally unearths where the spores are. He inhales them, and his wife basically turns him into a sex slave for a few days. There's like some type of like buildup because something he didn't finish yet starts to back up. So the entire system in Eureka is starting to go down, resulting in like pipes exploding and like kickbacks essentially in the gas lines and water lines.
One of my favorite moments from this episode is Lupo's touching up her eyebrows for Zane, because she has a date with Zane, so she's using like like this zapper thing for her eyebrows.
Oh yeah.
And there was a buildup of methane in the bathroom, and it ended up exploding. But she runs out of the bathroom before it explodes. She goes, "Get down! It's gonna blow!" And the toilet explodes. And then Carter just looks at her and he goes, "Lupo, what did you have for lunch?"
Oh, Jack.
Damn you, Carter.
So after the entire town tries to kill one another, they try to figure out why this is going on, and I think they put Taggart out in the middle of the hall, the atrium of Global Dynamics to try to figure out what's going on, and they all walk by him looking very, very confused. All the women. It has something to do with. Because basically what ends up happening is Taggart's in the same lab as his two wolves that he's trying to get to mate. The spores end up getting pumped through into that area, but the female wolf gets so revved up she eats the male wolf. Kind of fucking crazy. I forget why Taggart's not affected.
Oh, because he never went into the cave where the spores were.
But he did though, because he had to get the girl wolf. Like, that's the one part of this episode I always get confused with.
I don't know. All I know, like I can't remember like the last half of the episode.
So basically, they figure out a way to destroy the spores that are now getting into the air because of the backed up sewer system. So they're able to basically put a giant asthma coat over them essentially and get rid of all the particles. And everyone's like, yeah, it's working. Everyone's going to be fine. And Jack kind of just thinks to himself, wait a second. Calls Fargo. Fargo? He's like, yeah. Take off the device because Fargo is encased in an asthma device that would protect him from being cured of the spores, and it would make all the women around him want him. And obviously Fargo is a little pervert, so that upsets him.
Yeah, there's a point where they're talking about the pheromones, Taggart and Carter, and Fargo's like, "Can I get some of those?" It's like, you little idiot.
He's so gross.
He is. He's very gross.
We also get the return of the hottie from the laundromat. She invites Carter to the lake or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, her father's cabin or something like that.
To fly fish in her vagina. Let's be honest. That's what they were gonna do. And
I mean,
Jack originally agrees to it, but then he has second thoughts because he thinks that she only invited him because she has been exposed and she's around him. But she reminds him like I wasn't around you at all today. Like we weren't together at any point. And he goes, oh.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it'd probably be a bad idea if we went to the cabin anyways, because he thinks that she was exposed to the peptides or whatever. And she goes, Carter, I invited you to the cabin before you went into the cave. He goes, oh yeah, I am a moron, aren't I?
No, he goes, oh yeah, because now he's like, I'm gonna get some nasty. No.
He literally says, I am a moron, aren't I? And she goes, yeah.
So the next episode 12, is called All That Jack Gets Laid at the Cabin.
It's not at all.
He totally gets laid at the cabin. Even his daughter's trying to get him laid at the cabin.
He never makes it to the cabin.
Oh, that's right. Because he ends up having to cancel it in this episode, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Why can't Jack get laid, goddammit?
Because they're building up to Jack and Allison.
No, he gets laid plenty of times before Allison.
Well, it's only
like
season 2.
Like a whole 2 times.
It's only season 2. There's still 3 seasons to go.
So basically, Barlow is brought back to town by Stark because Barlow got by the NSA, the CIA,
The FBI,
Section
Homeland Security.
Section 34 and a half. We don't even fucking. They don't have a name. They don't want you to know they exist. The Men in Black, the X-Files, something like that. So Stark's like,
She got caught by the FBI, the CIA, the Homeland Security, the DOD.
She got caught by an organization.
CDC.
She got caught by an organization that doesn't have a name.
NORAD.
And Stark brings her in because he needs help trying to figure out how to get Kevin detached from the artifact. And he's like, "What do you know about the artifact, Beverly?" And she's like, "I know it's in Kevin." And he's like, "No, duh, fucking everyone does. Have you not been watching the season?" And she's like, "Well, then I can't help you unless you set me free." And Stark's like, "Yeah, it's not gonna happen." So Fargo ends up becoming trapped, shockingly enough.
Yes. So there's like this whole thing going on with like alchemy, and there's this whole alchemy plot with this artist who's been secretly practicing alchemy even though it's banned.
You mean Hawkman from Smallville?
I was wondering why he looked familiar.
Because that's Hawkman from Smallville.
Yeah. So he's Hawkman from Smallville was messing around with alchemy, and there's this thing that he gave one of his students like a piece of metal that was affected by the alchemy. Yeah, it was. Yes, I was getting ready to get to that.
Well, we already knew that was Zoe's boyfriend. We found out who Zoe's boyfriend was Zoe's boyfriend in like sight unseen, I think.
I know. Literally the next sentence was going to be the student ends up being Zoe's boyfriend, who turns the metal into a bracelet for her. But before he did that, he washed it in hydrochloric acid, which turned it into a parasitic bacterium that turns metal into gold and then gold into rust.
Rust. So the entire town is falling apart. Thanks, young love.
Yeah, I think like her bracelet touched a statue that this dude was like polishing or something.
Well, the guy was putting some type of cleaning agent on it. And it interacted with the cleaning agent and turned the statue gold, and then it turned, into rust.
Yeah.
But it starts to affect GD, which is the problem.
Yes. So yeah, the building collapses and Fargo gets stuck, and then they have to go get him out. But while all this is happening, Henry finds Beverly in Stark's lab in there and goes in there to talk to her, and he's like, "You killed Kim," and she's like, let me smooth talk you into doing all these things, because she tries to use her powers of seduction. Not really. She just sits there and talks to him about like trying to convince Henry that Stark and Allison and everybody there is corrupt, and that they need the artifact and the power that Kevin holds to better understand the universe.
It's also revealed that because of something that Beverly gave Kim unknowingly before she went into the chamber, that it had an adverse effect and may have caused the artifact to react negatively.
Yes.
And that's why at one point when Stark is saying, I killed Kim, Henry says to him, I think this is like an E equals MC. Henry goes, I can't prove it yet, but I know for a fact that you didn't kill Kim. And that was also the episode where Henry tells Jack that there's so much he wants to tell him, but he keeps things from him. And one of them has to do with Beverly Barlow. So, continue on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, trying to think, what happens next?
So, Fargo's stuck underneath some shit. And GD's being rotten from inside out, so they have to go in and basically crawl through all the ducts and whatnot and spray the fucking building down.
Right. And they get out of there. And as they get out of there, they go back to, I forget where they go. They go to like Stark's lab or something like that, and they find out that or Henry like grabs
Henry tells Jack that the virus is mutated and that he needs to get Stark.
Yeah, and it's a flesh-eating bacteria now, and it can kill people. And he shows him a corpse in the morgue. So yeah, Henry at this point, I'm trying to remember the exact chain of events. This is where I get lost in the details.
Carter goes and gets Stark and tells him what's going on, and Stark tells Carter that's impossible. bacterias don't jump from minerals to flesh. That's impossible. And he's like, well, I'm just telling you what Henry told me. And then they walk into the rotunda, and they see Henry, Beverly, Allison, and Kevin in the head of GD office. And all of a sudden, the thing plummets into the ground, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And Stark reveals that GD has a defense plan that should ever the head of Global Dynamics be threatened, that the office turns into a bunker that goes a mile down into the ground for safety reasons.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then we get into part 2 of the finale.
So they're under the belief that this virus did in fact mutate, and no one is really inclined to think that Henry's doing anything wrong, at least at the moment. So the two of them and Taggart don hazmat suits and have the greatest fucking Three Stooges scientific exploration conversation you'll ever hear.
It's so fucking goofy.
Oh my God, it's the best. They're arguing, they're bickering, they're making fun of each other. Then at one point, a bunch of guns pop out of the wall and try to shoot them all.
And they realize that there's 2 panels that they can access to shut down the laser guns, and of course the Taggart and Stark are going to be the ones who are going to get to the panels, but they need someone to distract the laser gun and draw their fire so that they can get there unharmed. So they're like, well, which one of us is going to go do it? And Stark and Taggart look at Carter, and he goes, how come I'm always the one that has to draw the fire? And they both just look at him and they just shrug at him. And so he's like, Stark's like, any day now, Carter. And he goes, all right. He's like, if you want to trade me spots, you can do so at any time. And then Taggart goes, Carter, just remember, serpentine. Oh,
the
man.
funny part is Taggart ends up getting suppressed by the gun, and Jack ends up turning it off anyway.
Yeah, he. I think he holds up like a reflective like piece of metal or something like that, or like, and it reflects the laser back and destroys the turret. Meanwhile, Fargo and Zane are trying to hack into the computers of Global Dynamics.
Wait, hang on. Joe and Zane are overseeing a boy-girl sleepover.
Yes.
That Zoe is hosting.
At Sarah.
Yeah, within Sarah, I guess you could say.
Within Sarah.
And Fargo shows up for some reason. Because he's a fucking creeper hanging out with high school students. Gross.
He shows up and he goes, Sarah, periscope down. And this computer that could, this like backdoor computer into Global Dynamics lowers from the ceiling. It's not just one computer; it's 3 computers.
Yup.
And I think Zoe was like, "Has that been here the whole time?" And Fargo goes, "Oh, did I forget to mention this?"
That's the running gag for all of Sarah's enhancements. Did I forget to mention this?
Did I forget to mention this? Yeah, they're monitoring their like vitals and like their suits and everything like that. Stark gets a hole in his suit at one point, and they have to patch it up and like eject him with this thing. To make sure that he does.
Basically, Stark resigns himself. He's like, "All right, well, I'm fucked. I'm dead. Doesn't matter. Let's just do the damn thing."
Yeah.
They end up getting to the morgue, and they end up looking at the bones. They've all dusted, and it dawns on Stark, or maybe it was even Carter, that there's no virus, and Stark and all of them take off their gear, and they realize that there's no actual virus going on. But the computer systems doesn't know that, so they're going to schedule a thermal cleaning, which will destroy all the bacteria, but there's no bacteria. So it's just a lot of roasty people. But they find out that people are inside the morgue, so they go in to look, and it's Larry and a bunch of people thinking that the zombies are out to get them.
They didn't want to. Carter didn't want to go to the morgue because that's where the whole place started, but they have to. And they're like, Fargo tells them that there's heat signatures coming from the morgue, and Carter looks at Stark. He goes, "I swear to God, if this is the start of a zombie apocalypse, I quit for real." So yeah, they walk in the morgue. It's Larry, and who's doing his Larry thing and literally eating at every pass.
I think he's like eating pizza or like a cupcake. I forget which one.
He's eating some sort of snack food, which literally carries over into the first episode of season 3, where in like every fucking scene, he's got like a donut in his hand.
I haven't rewatched season 3 yet. I don't remember.
I'm not even kidding you. The first scene he's in the first episode of season 3, he's got a fucking donut in his hand.
So they find out that the machines in the GD and the thermal cleaning are going to kill people. So they assign Taggart with getting people out. Although there's a lot of levels that are hurt and destroyed, and it's going to make it hard to traverse. Taggart gives all of the 0 fucks that he has left, puts on a blindfold, and he's like, "I'll lead him out. Don't worry about it, Sheriff." And just starts fucking walking his way out with his hands out in front of him, complete with blindfold.
I completely forgot Taggart makes a fucking what's the god damn it, Princess Bride reference.
What does he say? Never go into death with an Australian.
Larry's like, "You're not gonna get us out of here," and he goes, "This computer made one of the classic blunders. Never go against an Australian when death is on the line." As soon as I heard him say that, I was like, "God damn it, Taggart's the best."
Taggart, you mensch, you.
What a fucking
what a mensch. So
what a guy.
That leads with Stark and Carter to descend a mile into the shaft. And the funny thing was, Stark's like, "I'll go first, Carter. I'm a better climber." And Carter looks down and goes, "I should go first." Stark's like, "Why?" "I'll probably throw up on you."
Yeah, he's like, "Heights make me nauseous." And Stark's like, "Okay,
After you
first."
No, it's anyway. He goes, "I'll probably throw up on you." And Carter and Stark stops for a second and starts climbing back up and goes, "After you." The delivery is just fan-fucking-tastic.
I don't remember. Do they actually end up climbing all the way down?
Yep, because they get on top of the thing. I don't remember how they get in. I think
they have blowtorches.
Yeah, they cut their way in. And inside they reveal that there's a transportation device for the head of GD to transfer to a place a couple miles outside of town in case anyone ever tries to get in. And, they're like, "Henry, how could you betray us?" And Henry's like, "I'm not betraying anyone, you stupid fox. I saw the research Stark did. Stark's a big dummy. This is how you save Kevin."
Allison kicks Beverly's ass, and then Beverly gets back up and goes to get a scalpel or something, and tries to kill Allison because she's trying to steal Kevin to get to the artifact. Henry was not. He was just using Beverly to get Kevin here, so that the way that this teleportation machine works is that it doesn't actually teleport you. It deconstructs and then reconstructs your body in a new location.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I believe the analogy they use is like a snake shedding its skin.
Yes.
So the idea is that if they reconstruct Kevin's body, he's no longer going to have the artifact attached to his DNA when he gets reconstructed.
Because it takes the sample from your baseline when they acquire the DNA, and Kevin's DNA had been in the system since he was working with the therapist prior to the events of the artifact exploding, so it would actually reset his DNA to a previous point in time. Very wicked.
So...
Allison asks, "Why didn't you just tell me this?" And... he goes.
That's when
Henry goes, "I tried. You shut me out. You shut me out of Kim's work. You didn't want to hear my opinions. You distanced yourself from me. This was the only way I could figure out, to get Kevin safe." And Allison's like, "Oh, I'm the heel of the season." And Henry's like, "Yeah, you the big dumb."
Yeah, he literally looks at it. He goes, "I tried talking to you and Stark, and neither of you would listen to me." He's like, "You didn't let me in." So Beverly comes back with the scalpel. She tries to cut Allison, but right as she's about to stab her, you hear click, click. And you turn around, and there's Sheriff Jack Carter with his gun drawn. He's like, "Put the weapon down. I'm a bastard hound."
If you could do the voice of Droopy Dog, I would appreciate that.
Hold on. Put the weapon down.
Put your weapon down. Wait, hang on. I'm so sad. I'm Droopy Dog.
I'm gonna play a sound clip of Droopy Dog on my phone and see if I can't mimic it real quick.
So while he does that, they end up running the experiment thingy on Kevin, and it works. And everyone's like, "Yay, we saved Kevin! Hey, high five! Hey, high five, Jack! Hey, high five, Stark! High five, Henry! High five, Bever! God damn it, she escaped, didn't she? Yup." And then Beverly was gone. They go back to the surface and they're like, "Hey, we succeeded. Oh, the military's here. Oh no, Henry, we'd like to have a conversation with you in Guantanamo." Henry's like, "I guess I'll see you guys in season 3 because I'm getting arrested."
Yep.
Oh, and Taggart leads everyone else to safety. As Zane and Fargo paired up their super geniuses and save the town by deactivating the system right as Taggart brings everyone to safety.
Yeah, and Joe also convinces the Major not to issue the thermal cleaning.
Yes. Because she's like, "I'll show you my boobs," and Major's like, "All right." Deal.
God, I wish. God, I wish.
She uses the whole never leave a man behind idea on him. He's like, fuck. It's my field of dreams, Joe. I always cry when someone brings that up.
Yeah, she says something along the lines of like, you know better than anybody that sometimes when you're in the field, you need like protocol is not the correct way to operate or something like that.
Sometimes you got to go with your gut. Solid episode.
It was, yeah, the ending of this season was really good.
So, what would you say is your favorite season? Or favorite episode, I mean, sorry.
I think I can tell you my top 3 right off the bat. Number 1, let's number 3. My number 3 favorite episode is Noche de Sueños, because the shared dreams were fucking hilarious.
You just like the fact that Joe was dreaming about Fargo.
No, I like the fact that the first shared dream was about Carter being naked, and he looks down and he goes, "Oh man, I haven't had this one since high school." and if you look, because they saw it, they know what it looks like. Joe knows what it looks like. She shared that dream. They were not impressed with Carter.
Yeah. They were a looking.
They were a looking. Number 2 favorite episode is Family Reunion. I think it just hits every beat of storytelling, like really good storytelling from start to finish. I know that Pierre Fargo is kind of a dick, but like the overarching story that they tell in the episode is really good. And then number 1 is Maneater. Maneater to me is just like encompasses like what this show is supposed to be about. It's the most ridiculous science epidemic. It's the most ridiculous interaction between characters. It's the most like outlandish solving of the problem. Like it's fucking great from start to finish. And Carter being irresistible to every woman he comes across is just comedic gold. Homeboy, purr, it's me, Jack Carter, purr.
You got to get deeper and more drawn.
I know.
It's almost nasally. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So my 3 would be number 3, Sight Unseen.
Mm-hmm.
I love any episode where him and Zoe have a lot of plot. So like Sight Unseen was pretty good. Gods in the Details would probably be my number 4 because of the same reason. Because he has that whole like, she can't talk, and he's like, "I'm going to do anything to save you." Number 2. So Sight Unseen is 3. Number 2, I'll probably go with Maneater for number 2.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed Maneater. It's a lot of fun. Number 1 for me is E=MC ? Zane's introduction is great. The fucking pratfall with the with the electrical bracelets are fucking tastic. The stuff at the inside like the global dynamics were like fucking Stark's doing pull my finger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's I say like I think God is in the Details will be my number 4 as well. Again, because of the same reasons for like Maneater, it's so over the top ridiculous. It's so good.
Best moment of season 2 though goes to Duck Duck Goose when Carter gets fucking slammed
When
on
he
the
gets
ground.
fucking slammed into the floor. I was just about to say that.
That's the best moment of the whole fucking series so far. Just
best comedic moment. I just went.
I can't move. Allison, I can't move. Gravity doesn't work.
If you were to tell me right now that next season, in season 3, or season 4, or season 5, he walks off a cliff but doesn't fall immediately until he holds up a giant sign, I would believe you.
Close.
God, he's so fucking ridiculous, dude.
There's an episode with a floating bank.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Let's see. Is it in season 3? No, I don't think it is. I think it's in season 4. Yep. Season 4.
Season 4, Up in the Air.
Yep.
Yeah, I see it.
Carter must investigate a bank robbery in which the entire bank has been stolen, leaving only the foundation. Carter begins having memory lapses, and Allison begins having memory lapses, and her behavior becomes erratic, leaving her frightened.
Oh boy. So yeah, the next 2 episodes of this podcast are gonna be a little bit longer because season 3 has 18 episodes, season 4 has 21.
Yup. I think we can probably fly through season 3 pretty fast. Oh, by the by, we have another doomsday weapon in season 3.
Oh, great.
And Titus's mom is in season 3.
Oh, boy.
The second one, the one who poisoned them at dinner.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Not that one. The one who shows up to dinner with the therapist.
Oh,
and then
okay,
shoots the guy at the wedding. That mom. Because technically there's 3 of them in Titus.
Gotcha.
She plays Ava Thorne.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know why I didn't put that. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, Ava Thorne.
Yep.
God, I hate her immediately.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with her character. She's only around for the first half.
Good, because I don't want to fucking put up with her. So since there's another doomsday weapon in season 3, do we call it how to end the world in 18 easy steps?
It's actually how to end the world when your daughter doesn't listen to advice.
We'll come up with something funny.
When the fuck was that episode? From Fear to Eternity.
All right.
So, rundown. RealNerdCorp.com. RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NerdCorp. Instagram at RealNerdCorp. We're on Twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp, as well as Podbean at RealNerdCorp.podbean.com, as well as downloading the Podbean app and searching for Real NerdCorp on the app. You can also find us on iTunes and Spotify by searching for NerdCorp, NerdCorp. Swisher, what are your personals?
You can find me on Twitter at X2000Gregs. That's X2000GREGS. You can find me on Instagram at 2000Gregs. 2000GREGS. Chad, personal?
You can find me on Twitter at Chad NerdCorp. ChadNerdCorp. I love my new profile picture on Twitter. Swisher, I suggest you go look at it now while you can, because it's simply marvelous.
It's the 3-eyed fish.
Nope, it's new.
Oh, you changed it again?
Yep.
Let me scroll down. I'm on my Twitter on my phone right now, and you just had a tweet about Marcus's birthday.
That's the NerdCorp account. You can also find me on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, ChadSPHOTOHUT.
Jesus Christ.
What? Did you find it?
Yep. Everybody should go look at themselves. I'm not going to give away the joke. Yeah.
If you actually click on the image to get a bigger version of
Yep.
it, it's even funnier.
Yep. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'll give you one hint where that comic is from.
I have no fucking clue.
It's a cover of Y the Last Man.
Oh.
That's ampersand.
California.
Here we come. What were you watching when you were doing your Alexa shit?
I don't know. Let me. I was probably playing a game or something.
No, it was a
You
show.
retweeted-
Cause you were it was when I did the Blind Melon, and you're like, Alexa, play Blind Melon, and you were watching some like romance bullshit.
Oh, it was just TNT. I had the TV was on mute because it was right before Dynamite came on.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what movie it was on.
It looks like John Carter from Mars, maybe.
Oh, it was Tarzan.
Oh, okay.
As soon as you said John Carter from Mars, because I thought the same thing. I turned it on. I was like, "Is this John Carter from Mars?" Because if it is, I was gonna watch it. Because fucking John Carter of Mars rules.
You have terrible taste in everything.
I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong on that one. Like you don't have to tell me. Like you don't have to tell me. That movie is bad. But there's something about that movie that I'm just like, all right, I'm watching.
I fucking love that you danced to Blind Melon for me.
Dude. I love the fact that I could just do that on command now. It's so great. God, that song.
The best was still the first one.
My life is pretty plain.
God, that's funny. All right. That's all we got.
Hey, thank you all for listening to another edition of the It Takes a Simple Man to Lead Geniuses podcast. This has been brought to you by the Ohio Guys Productions. Of course, we're powered by RealNerdCorp.com. Go there, listen to all our podcasts, consume all of our media. It'll be good for your health. We come to you live a bunch of times throughout the week, but our show specifically comes to you on Fridays, usually around this time. Usually around 9, 10 o'clock. It depends. Live, twitch.tv/Comic and GameCorp. So thank you all for listening. For Chad Porto, I'm Alex Swisher. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, good night. And as always, the money is in the banana stand.